Ooh. I'm Hannah,
And I am Tiffany.
and welcome back to Witchy Weirdos.
Weirdos.
That
Season
went well.
2.
Season 2, and it's off to a cracking start.
Yeah, we filmed this 3 times.
Yeah, and apparently neither of us can speak either. Like words aren't coming out, so
Yeah, but
we're going to give it the best shot.
if we are anything, it's persistent. So
And I feel like we've got this video and this audio down to like the T now. We know what we're talking about. We've got this.
one thing I will say quickly, if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at our dear friend Hannah. If I'm looking here, I'm looking at the camera. I haven't figured my life out, so we're just gonna deal with it.
We're still newbies at this, and that is kind of what we're talking about today as well. Being newbies, because we are newbies in the witchy world.
Ooh.
Which is kind of what we're going to chat about today a little bit.
Yeah, Hannah has made insane progress and just steps towards, I guess, your spirituality. You've done so
Yeah.
much, and I am just so consistently impressed with how committed you are to it.
Something just clicked at the beginning of 2021 that just kick-started this route, and I don't know what it was, what set it off, but everything just aligned, and when everything's in alignment, then you can proceed. Everything is good to move.
I feel like you've been happier, and you've
oh my
been,
god, yes,
yeah, just clearer with everything.
it's incredible how much difference it can make. And I think both of us are on the edge of, we are skeptical of pretty much everything, but we like to give it all a chance. And I think because of that idea, I do think some of it's like the whole placebo of, I'm doing this to make me feel happier, therefore I am happier, rather than other stuff. But I think that it all just comes into one little beautiful bundle. So
It's the same outcome, right? So why not really commit to
exactly,
it and believe that it is coming from, a
yeah.
higher power of some kind?
I'm baffled why people don't, I guess, a little bit, because you're just working with the world around you, and that's fun.
And you're
So
improving yourself. Like,
why not? Self-care, that's what 2021 needs to be all about for everybody. Self-care.
oh, what was the motto? It was
Oh my gosh.
be devoted to yourself. Devote yourself to yourself. That was it.
Devote yourself to yourself. You've got
Yes,
to look after yourself. Yeah, that is what we are preaching. So that is the moral of this season.
exactly. And we're going to kick off with our lovely little witchy chat. And I'm so excited. I just want to hear everything, every thought that Hannah's had and everything that she's got over and over again. So please
This is a Hannah-centric talk, which is weird but exciting.
yeah.
So where to begin? I would class myself as a baby green witch. So I guess my little story begins, settling with the fact that everybody and their mother love astrology these days, don't they? Like, everybody is so into astrology, and I totally jumped on that bandwagon, and I felt something. Like, I completely believed it, I was fascinated by it, but there was this block, and I could not learn, if that makes sense. I couldn't get the information to stick into my brain, which is quite weird for me. I have quite an intense memory, so actually when I'm passionate about something, it does stick. So it was kind of odd that astrology didn't click as much. And then I don't even know what started me down this route recently, but I started being interested in essential oils. And I've always been someone who puts lavender on her pillow to help me sleep, always been down that route. And then I brought a diffuser, and from there it just spiraled. I loved essential oils. My collection is now ridiculous. This is all in the space of January. I just can't stop. And it's really interesting actually, because my mum is trained in aromatherapy. So I got excited, and my mum was like, oh my gosh, I've got old textbooks on this. I have, she found her box of essential oils that were well out of date, but it was really cool. And in fact, I kept the bottles of these, which I think is hilarious. These are vintage hemp oil bottles that were in my and I just think that's so cool.
I love it.
Because obviously CBD is very much known to be a very beneficial oil, but I just think it's so cool that that's like from 5-10 years ago. Like that's pretty cool. So I went down that route, and from that route I learned that there are so many connections with essential oils with your spirituality and your witchiness. Every essential oil can be associated with one of the chakras and can be used to help manifest certain things. And from then a fire started. I loved rose essential oil, found rose very interesting, looked into rose. Turns out rose petals are incredible things. And then it all just began. And that is kind of how everything spiraled into the crazy, out of control world that is now the last week of January.
But also like so in control at the same time.
Yeah.
I've never seen you so in charge of everything that you're like is going on in your life, and it feels powerful to even like watch.
Yeah. It's so powerful and it's so freeing, understanding things that you've always had within you and kind of known, and then being able to bring it out and learn from it and work with it is so interesting. I absolutely love it.
I have chills. I'm literally so happy for you.
It's such a, yeah, it's a completely wonderful feeling. And I think I wrote something on our Instagram the other day about how I used to always, as a child, when you play games with your friends and you'd talk about being fairies or mermaids or whatever, I would be the person who had the most issue with not thinking it was real. Like everyone would be like, oh, we'll pretend to be this, but it's not real. And I'd always be like, but there feels like there's something there. And I used to like talk to plants and all that jazz and think that actually like that is something now that I can explore, which is really cool.
I love that.
So
That kind of reminds me, did you see the meme I posted on our Instagram this morning?
no, I haven't looked.
Somebody was doing a tarot reading for their plant as a joke and was like, what do you need? And they pulled out the sun card.
Me too, plant, me too. Feel that. Oh, brilliant. So being a green witch kind of is the idea that you connect mostly with the earth and nature, and you use that to help your manifestation and your kind of connection to energy. I guess it's a good time to say here now that I believe in energy. I don't believe in like deities or any kind of figure that you pray towards. I'm just a believer in that there's energy in this world and we can take and work with that energy, and it can help bring the energy in you up. So that's kind of what I do. So I'm going to take you to my altar, which is exciting. So we've tried to film this a couple of times, and I think this is just going to have to be the best way to do it. Do-do-do.
Apologies to anyone that's
Yeah,
listening, but if you're only listening, go check this out on YouTube.
Oh yes. Well, I'm going to tell you through everything that we've got here, so don't you worry. Oh, along with an email, apparently. So, starting in the corner, trying to make sure you can see, we've got my little apothecary of herbs. Fun fact, you can get them from Sainsbury's for very cheap and very cute looking. I just pulled all the stickers off and put labels on it, and boom. So we've got bay leaves, ginger, pepper, rosemary, basil and cloves. And then next to it, we've got some salt and some moon water that's doing some nice brewing over there. And there's just a clear quartz on top of that. Then we've got my candle section. So I've got a variety of different candles and my kind of like burning zone. So where I do all my cleansing, my crystals. Trying to make sure you can see this. I didn't think this thoroughly through.
No, you can see it.
We've got my spell jars, my pink Himalayan salt, my collection of planty bits, some chamomile tea, and my runes. And the key feature on my altar, the plant that never dies, which I think is a very good symbol of things to have on your altar. So talking you through some of my favourite bits, we've got my little spell jars. So I started making these like 2 weeks ago and I just absolutely adore them. So in this one, I think it's salt, rosemary, chamomile, some rose petals and some pine. And then something else that I love on here, we've got this. So on an altar, you should have something that represents all 4 elements. And so this is what represents the sea and the water element for me. So this is really cool. This is just a shell with rocks on it that I found at the beach. And I just think it's super cute. And then, oh, what else should I show you from here? This is my little burning pot. And in here, we've got some rose ashes. So rose petals are my absolute favourite to cleanse with. I think that they cleanse the space really nicely. They smell really good, which is a really good benefit. And I'm basically collecting the ashes to then use in a spell jar. And then I've also got some, so exciting, it's in bulk on February 1st, so Monday. So this is going to be my first ever time celebrating a witchy holiday. So I've got some in bulk loose incense that I'm going to use in my ritual bath. And then I've also got some in bulk spell candles to set some intentions with. So that's all very exciting.
I love it.
Oh, I'll get comfy back on my space. So yeah, that is my altar. Try to think if there's any crucial things I should be telling you if you're going into setting your altar. Firstly, you should have salt. Salt is a massive factor for protection. So along with all 4 elements, you want to have salt on your altar. That can be plain salt, black salt, pink salt. I've seen that it can be really good to mix your ashes from your cleansing in with your salt to create more of a protective blend. Ooh. So that is worth doing. It's also good to have kind of things that inspire you on your altar. And also, I think it's important to consider the colours and stuff that you use on your altar. So I've got quite a lot of yellows and pinks in my altar, which is kind of like the symbol for happiness and love and kind of self-love. So that's kind of the aim that I go into with my altar.
I love it. I think setting up an altar is like super personal, and from what like I've read about it, it's very intuitive as well. So if something feels good on your altar, like it should be there, then put it there, even if it feels a bit weird. If something doesn't work, but you just feel like you should have it there, don't. Just get rid of it. It's doing nothing but bringing you negativity and a strange feeling, which you do not want to incorporate in anything that happens at your altar.
Yes, oh my God, you need all positive.
And also, you know, things change. You change. The seasons change. Your altar might have to change with that depending on your intentions. So I personally don't have an altar. I've said this, like I'm currently not, where I'm living right now isn't mine. So it feels wrong of me to like set something like that up in a place that's not mine. Because it's bringing in, you know, like energies that I want, but it's not my home to be messing with in that way. Not that it's anything bad, but yeah.
Like with any religion, I think you have to be very mindful of how different things kind of work and how people interpret things. And the really cool thing about being spiritual or Wiccan or pagan or doing witchcraft, whichever you want to come into that category, is it's very flexible. There aren't very many rules you have to follow. There are things that are recommended, but you know, it depends on you. Like I say, I'm a baby witch and I say I'm spiritual, but I wouldn't say I was, you know, a Wiccan or pagan or anything like that. I think that it can be whatever you need it to be.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I think like what I really love about spirituality at the moment is like you say, the flexibility. You can just sort of like take what you need and leave the rest. And so at the minute for me, because of like where I'm living and just the situation, for me at the moment, a lot of the things that I've been doing surround like the moon and oracle cards and scripting, manifestation, sigils, crystals is becoming a very big thing. I feel like I'm not as far along as Hannah in that I can't really like identify a type of witch that I really care about at the moment or like really feel drawn to. But that will be a very interesting journey, and I can't wait to like have my own place and be like, okay, I can have an altar, I can do some spell work, I can, you know, do whatever. When I say I can't do spa work, I mean like there are small things that I really like to do, like especially with regards to small things like my morning coffee, stirring intentions into my morning coffee, and you know, then when you drink that, you're kind of manifesting that, which is really, really good. But yeah, for me, it's mainly oracle cards.
Not particularly.
I love these. I've actually been posting on our Instagram. If you're not on our Instagram, go look at it. It's Witchy Weirdos. But I actually post quite a lot of the readings that I get, and I've been pulling the same damn things
Always
over
the
and over
way.
again. I'm not listening.
It's like,
But
come on, I'm telling you this.
I know exactly. But like I keep getting like, what do you need to release? And luck is on your side, and like changes are coming. The other day I got adjustments are needed, and I was like, okay,
That's the thing
sorry.
with how intense last year was. I think there's a lot of focus on the moment on kind of making those changes and letting things go. And I've seen that a lot in the kind of spiritual community. Like that is a big old theme this year.
Exactly.
And you know, with your full moons and stuff, that is definitely something you should be considering doing, is making sure you let your full moon stuff go and all of that jazz on a full moon.
Yeah, exactly. That's been a really big thing for me as well. Like, feel like learning about the moon phases, and what it all represents and what that can do for you, is really important. And do you know what? The reason I actually really started taking it seriously was just because of a joke that my boyfriend made, where he said that I think I've mentioned this before, when he's on shift and it's a full moon,
Oh, yeah.
everyone knows that there's like shit's gonna go down. And it's the night where people just aren't in the same headspace that they normally are, and it's always a lot worse, and you always end up like he says, you always end up taking people for mental health assessments, and there's always very dramatic big things happening. You're like at the pinnacle of all of these emotions, and apparently it's the same for a lot of NHS workers. They've said before, like there's so many memes around about like when you see a full moon and you're not on shift, and you just think, oh my god, thank god.
Childcare, like it's always a more manic day when it's a full moon than anything else, you can guarantee.
It's just the vibes, it's just different, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody's just a little bit more intense.
I genuinely feel like kind of manic on a full moon. Like I'll get loads done, but depending on my mindset, that's either really good or really bad, and I
Yeah,
need to just like bring myself back, which is what's been really helpful with this whole process.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know where I'm going to go from there yet. At the minute, like I said, I've just been doing a lot of like scripting and manifesting, and I swear to God, my sigil stuff is getting out of
We
control. I was
love
saying
sigils,
like,
don't we? I've got them drawn over my like spell book.
yeah, exactly. And on a lot of these as well, I have I typically like stay away from any sigils that um have any kind of like harm intent with them. The only one I do have is I have a warning.
You've got to have your protection sigils. That is the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Like all of these that I draw all over any of my like different books I use, like they are all protection sigils. Like
Yeah. It's the thing is, I don't know, like again, I kind of want to be skeptical and be like, oh, placebo. But so what I do is I have this big journal. It's from like Happiness Planner or something like that. And see, it was the CEO of my life one, and so it has like daily spreads of, you know, stuff to like planning out your whole day. It's amazing, like planning out your week, like the time, the goals, everything. And I was having a very hard time at work, and I could not figure stuff out. And then all of a sudden I drew this tiny one up in the corner here, which means victory in all things. So I think you can guess how that day ended up going for me.
I love it.
Yeah, it was insane. And so, like a lot of the time now, I'll really sit down as I plan my day, and I'll be like, what do I need? Like, what's the extra support that I need today? Is it strength? Is it, you know, focus? Whatever it is. And maybe it's placebo, and you're like, I've written this, so it's going to happen, but results the same, so I don't care.
I know. What's the point? Like in if it works, it works. You know, believe what you want to believe about it. But if it's going to do it, then it's going to do it.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm loving that. And like I said, I've started to get some more crystals at the minute. This is my clear quartz. I don't know if my camera will refocus, but she's a beauty.
the gorgeous clear quartz. I love
Yeah.
clear quartz.
It's like, it's so imperfect, and that's why I love it so much. And I've ordered a whole bunch more. And I've been reading a lot, and weirdly enough, my partner's very into it. Like I was talking about it, and he was like, I can get behind the rocks thing, and I was like, okay.
Stay away from everything else, but the rocks, they can stay.
That's pretty much what he said, yeah.
I do like it. I've started wearing my rose quartz every single day
Mm.
for kind of like self-confidence and self-love, and I just love it. And I've just ordered a rose quartz little bracelet as well, just to add a little bit of an extra boost.
Oh, I love that. I love wearing things like that. The ones that I've been wearing at the minute, I've got this. Again, it's not going to focus. I can probably force it to. I could force it to, but that's a lot of effort. And it's.
And then it probably won't focus back, and it'll be a whole
I'm
thing.
not going to take the risk, you know. But it's opal, and opal is typically actually like kind of bad luck if you're not born in November. But I've charged it myself, and this bad boy brings me luck because I want it to, because we've had a conversation, the two of us, and we're on the same page. And I also have a Herkimer diamond. I think it's called Herkimer diamond. And I swear to God, if I script with that thing on, things, I just turn around and I'm like, oh, manifestation is here. Hello.
Hello. You rocked up very quickly.
I know, it's really, really like surprising. But apart from that, I haven't really got anything I've been wearing. I ordered so many crystals, like
It's
too
just,
many.
this is the thing, like once you start, you just can't stop. But because they're not crazy expensive, like when you start out, obviously people buy massive pieces of like geode and stuff, but when you start out, it's not that bad. So then you're like, oh well, 5 for £1.50 ones, that's not that bad. That's like £7, and then you keep going, and then you're like, hang on a minute, that's like a 40 quid order.
Yeah.
And all I've done is spend it on crystals.
I said that to my partner as well. I was like, I just spent £50 on rocks, and he was like, they're good rocks.
They're positive rocks, that's what we know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just gotta be-
So a while ago, when we tried to film this before, you told the great story about the little skeleton
oh
on
my
your
gosh, the
altar.
little skeleton. So did you see the little skeleton?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so the little skeleton. So this little skeleton, when we first filmed this, was on the side of my altar. It was just on the windowsill. And then after we kind of chatted about it, I moved it into the center of my altar because I think it deserves a spot in the limelight. So basically, this little skeleton is a keyring. Well, it was part of a keyring that both me and Tiff picked up in Nottingham when we went on our first ghost tour. So I went to see Tiff, and we had a whole weekend. We had a very strange experience with some tarot cards. We had some very intense energy on the ghost tour that we went on. And then to kind of symbolize it, we both picked up this little skeleton keyring from the National Museum of Justice. And we both had them for a couple of months. And then one day, my keyring broke. And I was like, huh, that's really strange. And I just felt when it had broken this intense calling to message Tiff and be like, are you okay? And when I did, you know, she was like, my skeleton broke too. And actually, I needed that message. And there's like this crazy spiritual vibration coming from that little skeleton. Like the fact that both of them broke at the same time. And yeah, it was crazy.
It still blows my mind because I remember that time period really clearly. I was having a bad time. Like I don't know I don't remember what it was exactly, but I was having a very bad time and it broke, and I immediately thought I should talk to Hannah. Like I should just reach out. It's like I remembered all of a sudden that I wasn't by myself, and it was really, really weird. And then you texted me like not half an hour later, like, oh, my keychain broke, you okay? And I was like, I am not, but mine too.
You were like, well, ignore that for a minute. Let's talk about the keyring.
Exactly, yeah. But
crazy. But do you
yeah.
know what else we talked about, which you picked up on that trip, was your crystals that have disappeared?
Oh my God, yes. So I have, yeah, so we were on that trip, and it wasn't from the same place, was it? It was from the caves.
Yeah, the Nottingham Caves.
So from the
Also
Nottingham
supposed to
Caves.
be very haunted.
Oh my goodness, that was very good. And we should definitely, when we get the chance, do the proper
Yeah.
ghost one of it. But yeah, basically at the time we saw a bunch of crystals. So we picked some up, and I picked up clear quartz and mahogany obsidian.
Ah, yes.
Mahogany obsidian.
See, I instantly thought of black obsidian. And then you said it was like had lines, and I was like, oh, it can't be black obsidian then.
No, yeah, mahogany obsidian, which is a super like protective crystal. It's good for a bunch of different things, but for me it was very like protective. And so I had these two, and bearing in mind, like a few months ago, I was having a rough time of it. Like I had no energy. There was like I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. Like I physically, and I knew this wasn't coming from me, as in like I knew this wasn't my mind. It constantly felt like I was being dragged down. Like I said, couldn't bring myself to get up, couldn't bring myself to really get dressed. I work from home, so like I would just roll up in my pajamas, still do my work, but like not really be engaged, not do anything outside of work, any of the projects I love, didn't game. When I say I was exhausted and like kept getting sick and everything, I truly like I was in a bad place physically and mentally. I was like, no. And at the time, at first I chalked it up to like just the year and how I'd had a lot of changes. That's another thing. That stone, it helps you make decisions. And since I got it, I'd made quite a few big decisions.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like decided to actually like properly seriously try and find a partner, not just like,
I'm pretty sure you picked up that stone at the time because of our tarot card experience. So it was like
yeah,
intention.
I know, I know. I put like protection food. Just watch the Spooky Nottingham podcast if you want to know the details on what that tarot reading did, because I will never get over it. But yeah, so I'd like made the effort to find somebody. They moved in with me, which I've decided was like a great thing. We then moved out, and now we're buying a house, like big things, and big like business moves as well, and like things at work. I just like it really helped with that. The only part that I hadn't really experienced was the protective part yet. And so, like I said, I was having a horrible time of it, and I knew it wasn't coming from me. I'm pretty sure I know who it came from. I'm not going to do anything about it because,
No.
I'm sure my ancestors have given them their karma.
Well,
And
let's not put karma into the world. Let's karma do it
exactly,
itself.
exactly. And clearly something bit back at them real quick because of how quickly I snapped back.
You'll
And
definitely
so,
tell me this off camera at some point.
oh yeah. Um, so basically this was all happening, and I'd found these crystals and I had them, and I was like, oh, I forgot that I had these. Cool. And then randomly I was doing this like guided meditation, and it's more of a hypnosis than a meditation, and there is a difference, and people get really funny if you say something's a meditation but it's actually hypnosis, which I understand because you're getting into very different things there, but it was kind of a hypnosis. And it was about meeting your guides. And so it was like this, it was lovely. It was like 2 hours long. I'm about an hour in, and like I'm walking up to this door, and I've like walked through this like beautiful area. I'm like fully grounded, I'm in the moment. And I'm walking up to this door, and the idea is that you're going to go through this door and you'll meet your guides. They'll be waiting for you. And so I'm walking up to this door, and as I'm walking up to this door, I can feel that something's like not letting me at the door, and I can't open it. And it started like shaking. One, as if something was trying to get out of the door, like as if something was trying to help me, and there was me trying to get in, and something in between that was like, you're not opening this door. That's it. And at the time I didn't panic or anything. I didn't really think. I was in like a hypnotized state, so I was just like kind of observing it. And all of a sudden the door was shaking, and then it like smashed open, and this like white, I want to say like spirit type thing, was fully white and like very long, and it like flew out of the door like straight towards me, like straight into like the middle of my eyes, and I snapped out instantly.
Oh my
um
god.
and like I remember I just sat back up and I was like, what the hell? And from that moment I felt completely different. And it was, I don't know what it was that was like stopping it, but like whatever needed to come out came out. And it was literally like the biggest reality check ever. And since then, I've everything changed. Like, I've been super motivated. I've been getting so much done. I've been persevering. I've been my chaotic Aries self and determined again, and it's amazing. And I can't find my clear quartz or mahogany obsidian anywhere. They've both left me. Um, and I didn't, yeah, I didn't know it was a thing as well, but apparently crystals can leave you if they fulfill their purpose. Or I assume with the mahogany obsidian, it had very much served its purpose. And so I knew that like that was kind of it. And I feel bad for whoever that spirit went after for that,
God.
but or whatever that was. I don't think it was a spirit actually. It felt like a guide or something along those lines, or some kind of protector that was trapped, and there was some kind of disconnect between. Although when I think about it, I think of like more of like a higher self situation.
Yeah.
There's this thing that I'm supposed to be, and there's this thing that I am, and there's a block. And when I say it, just like straight into, like I felt it just like straight out and just knocked me out, and I can still see the image clear as day, like in my mind. So super weird. But then after that, I didn't really have any like crystals or anything. So now there's this
Until
guy.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, that
Very
was
cool.
mad. Yeah, that was absolutely mad though.
Love it.
Mm.
Some things going on, clearly.
Clearly, yeah, but it was very shocking.
Yeah, but it sounds good. Like, it's a positive thing at the end of the day. Although I would feel a bit like mugged off if I spent a load of money on a beautiful crystal for it to fulfill its purpose and get lost. I'd be like, I spent money
Yeah,
on it.
I see this all the time on TikTok. If you're on Witch Talk, hell yeah. Um, I see it all the time on there with people. They buy moldavite, which is like a very, very powerful
Yeah.
crystal. Yeah, it's from like, so it's from an asteroid or like a meteor or something that hit Germany. I think it was like 13 million years ago or something ridiculous. Um, and so I think there's only a limited supply of that
Yeah.
specific crystal. And so when you buy it, you buy the tiniest little bits. Um, and it like forces massive change. So like people buy it and they lose their jobs, or their partner leaves them, or like all kinds of like big good and bad things happen. But after a while the crystal leaves them because it just sort of like fast forwards on the big changes that you need.
Crazy.
I'm not brave enough for that right now. But,
Me neither. And I watched a video by Chaotic Witch on it, and she'd like brought some to kind of debunk it essentially. And actually, she was like, it's doing things, like stuff's happening. And I just think like that's a lot of energy to commit to, isn't it? Like, it's one thing having a crystal that'll slowly help you progress to that point, but like you've got to be brave to have everything turn upside down that quickly. I don't think
yeah,
I'm
I mean, it's literally like an otherworldly crystal. It
yeah,
wasn't meant for humans, I don't think.
no,
So
that's risky to play with. Like, I'm a big
exactly.
believer that you can play with the stuff from our earth and our planet, and because we're all connected, we're all in it, like we're all part of it. But to then have something that has very much come from somewhere else, that feels iffy to me.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand that, like, it's just kind of like whatever was going to happen just happen. It doesn't happen in divine timing or whatever you want to call it anymore. It happens right there, right then. um, but also like you don't need that, and that in a way could really detract from like your journey in a way, because you're missing out on that growth over time. You're just gonna
Exactly.
overwhelm yourself.
The journey is an important part of it all. Whether it's fun or not, it is part of kind of like a learning curve, and you get there eventually with the help
Mm,
of everything. Yeah, I just think it's iffy, but
yeah.
definitely interesting. It kind of shows how intense it can be.
Yeah,
But the
exactly.
fact it then disappears does make me think, oh, alien rock.
Yeah.
That's like, it's come down, it's got its people, and now it's like, haha, I'm off.
Exactly, yeah. Makes me nervous. What was it you were saying the other day about your altar? You saw something move.
Oh my gosh. So this was on So after the second time we tried to film this, I'd trying to think what I had done. I'd done something different on my altar. I'd moved something, or I'd done something to it, or it might have even just been the fact that we were discussing it. But I had gone to bed, and my altar was on my windowsill, and I have one of those blinds that you pull down, and it's never like, and it was just like I was sat in bed, I was like reflecting on the day, and then the broad kind of curtain moved down, like it came off a bit and went down a bit more. And I can debunk it all I want, because I do know that happens, but my blind has never done that before, and it just felt like a very odd coincidence that is when it happened. And it felt really cool, actually, because, and I don't ever have anything spiritual kind of ghosty happen in this house, and I'm very happy with that. Just putting that out there. I'm very happy for nothing to happen.
I'm not
But
asking for anything.
I'm not asking, but this did happen, and it was quite exciting for it to happen because it felt very positive, especially because it was coming from where my altar was, and it was kind of just like something showing me that it was around. It was very cool.
Yeah, when you told me, at first I was initially a bit concerned, but then I was like, your altar's very protected and you have very
Yeah.
good energy. So I was like, I think someone was just passing through.
Yeah, it was very cool. Like, everything about my altar is fun and self-love and nature, so it feels very safe and nice. And I've got some pine up for protection. There's plenty of salt there. Like, I think it was just something cool. But yeah,
Yeah, your obsession with pine at the minute absolutely
I
sends
don't know where
me.
it's come from. Everywhere I go, there's pine, and I love pine, and I just want pine in my life.
I mean, the other day she literally stopped her car to pick up some pine. So,
I
and I respect it. I do.
pine. It's chilling in that thing. I'm gonna light it as a cleanser soon. I
Mm.
want you to get like pine bundles. I want one.
Yeah, that's good.
I love pine. Oh, so good. Like,
I
this is the thing. Like, I never realized the intense connection you can have to herbs and stuff, and like pine and rose petals, I'm just obsessed with. Like, and conveniently, they're the things that I have found or had around me, and I just love it.
Oh, I love it. I think there's one thing that we should end on, and just because mainly because I want to hear the story again. You were telling me a spooky story about work, and I think in classic Witchy Weirdos fashion, we need to end episode 1 with a spooky story.
Oh yes. So I'm trying to remember all the details of what I'd like said and what had happened and all that jazz. So I'm fairly certain that there's something in my workplace. I've had experiences in the past where I've seen a cat out of the corner of my eye. I've My co-workers heard footsteps we've got like a loft. They've heard footsteps in the loft. I've gone up to the loft, and we've had like these soft, squishy bricks, and I've had one of those thrown at me at an angle. Again, because I try to debunk everything. So I went through the whole thought process of, could it have just been falling off? Could I have knocked it? Could the wind have blown it? Anything like that. The angle it was thrown, it just couldn't have happened. So that's all happened. And then the other day, we were checking our security cameras, and at 3 o'clock, which is the witching hour, I'm sure most of you know, the lights all came on. So we have like sensitive, what do you call them?
Motion sensor.
Like motion sensor lights, yeah. So they come on when people come into the building. No one had gone in that building. They were on for about 5 minutes, and then they turned off again. So that was creepy. I was like, guys, the lights gone on at 3 o'clock, and everyone was like, that's not interesting. I was like, oh, okay. And the other thing that happens very regularly, and everybody has seen this happen in my workplace, and tells me to shut up repeatedly when I'm like, it's a ghost, it's a ghost. But we have a tap in one of our toilets that will turn itself on. And I'm not talking just like it trickles. I mean, it, like, and I've seen it, and other people have seen it actually go, like, move, which is crazy. And again, like, I try to think, could it be like water pressure or anything like that? But the way it moves, like, it's weird.
I'm so blown away by it, and I'm also very concerned by it. Like, I know, even like I've never been there, obviously. I've never seen this stuff. But when you talk about it, I don't get good vibes. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not that bothered by it, I think. I think it's very playful.
Right.
The history of the building that I work in, to me, would indicate if it was something, it would be a very playful energy. Yeah, I've never felt anything bad from it,
Not the
but
brick being thrown at you being bad.
it's not a real brick. But I guess like we have very different perceptions on, like, you believe in a lot more negative stuff than I do. I very much think that there are bad energies out there, but that's about as far as they go. So, like, for me, I don't see an issue with it. I'm just like, cool, you do you, kind of do what you need to do. I still go to that building and I've been by myself and stuff. So, like, yeah,
You're
it was
so
creepy. It
brave.
was creepy. And I was excited. I was like, oh my God, look. Everyone else was just like, I don't think that's relevant. I was like, okay.
Oh my
I
God.
guess I'll be excited about the 3 o'clock lights.
Weren't you doing it as well because there was a sign knocked over or something?
I can't
Like,
remember. I don't think so.
I thought there was something that was knocked over at like 3 in the morning and you were checking the tapes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, you know, if you're in like a park or a garden, not a garden, like a public space, and they don't want anybody to drive into it, you get like little
The
posts.
bollard things, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got those kind of surrounding part of the car park that we have. And one of them had been knocked over or taken out, kind of. We weren't really sure what happened to it, really. And basically, I was watching to try and see if we could figure out what had happened to it. And I was watching it. We'd established the time period when it had to have happened. So I watched it in the daylight be upright. And then I watched the whole security footage through the night. The lights came on 3 o'clock. And then I didn't see anything, nothing was happening. But by the time the sunlight came up at 7, it was out. So, like, I couldn't find a logical explanation for how that came out. But I'm sure there is one. But I couldn't find one. And that's what I'm living on.
Spooky. Ooh.
Yeah, very spooky. But like I said, I don't think it's anything too negative. I do think there's an energy there, but I do think that the pole might be a bit of a coincidence. But it makes a cool story either way.
Love it. I love it. I love hearing it. I know we said just one story, but like there's not really much spooky that like goes on in this house. But I was told one story that I think we could end on.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so we're living with my partner's parents. They're wonderful. Shout out to you too. I know Rachel wants to watch this, so hi. um, but she was telling me this story one time when we were just like chatting, having wine. And it was that one time she got home from work and nobody was in, or at least she thought nobody was in. And so she looked up at the house and she saw just a person, like it would have been like a grown-ass man, walk across one of the windows. And so she was like, oh, that's so confusing because none of the boys' cars are here. And but I did see someone. So she went in and nobody was there, like at all. And she, like, to this day she'll swear by it because she's like, I can't explain that, and nobody was in. And I distinctly remember being like, oh, that's weird, the boys' cars aren't here.
Yeah, so much.
So now every time I get out of the freaking room at 3 in the morning, I'm like, are you here? I just want to pee, leave me alone. I do be waking up at 3 every single morning though.
I had a period of doing that. Now not so much, but yeah. Like when I was, so this whole thing is like a relatively new thing to me because I used to be so scared of horror. Anything horror, couldn't do it, wouldn't watch it, wouldn't talk about it, anything. And so every time I'd wake up at 3 o'clock, I used to be terrified. Whereas now that I'm not bothered by any of things and I've kind of established my beliefs and stuff, I wake up at 3 and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, nice and quiet.
But yeah, welcome back.
Oh,
We're back.
it. Season 2, here we go. The next episode that we're going to throw out for you guys is going to be a haunted hotels episode. We may or may not be filming it directly after this one because we already lost that footage. But
Yeah. Don't be surprised if we look exactly the same.
I might throw on a jumper or something, try and trick you. But if you've watched
I'm
this far, you
absolutely
know.
not. I'm going to be in the exact same baby blue jumper, just to let everyone know.
It's a great jumper. It's a great look on you.
Come.
Anyway, thank you for watching episode 1.
We will see you again soon.
Yeah. Bye.